I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, May the 13th, brought to you in part by Zoetis. On Tuesday, a spot market bill was introduced in Congress. It's for mandated minimum negotiated cash trade per week, per volume, and it's for 50-14, not 30-14. I told you guys that 30 was a minimum, a floor, not a ceiling. We're starting out here at 50% negotiated cash trade per weekly volume per each individual plant that harvests 125,000 head or more a year. It's sponsored by Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who has a lot of influence, and Democratic John Tester of Montana. So we got a bipartisan bill here with sponsorship. We've got other sign-ons here, including Joni Ernst from Iowa, Mike Rounds from South Dakota, Tina Smith, another Democrat from Minnesota, and Cindy Hyde-Smith from Mississippi. So we got a bipartisan bill here with a lot of horsepower, guys. Do not get confused with the other bill that was introduced earlier this week from Nancy Pelosi. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with Cory Booker's Spartacus bill that puts a moratorium on feedlots. It's a standalone bill here, and it's got some horsepower. Now, I realize it didn't come out exactly the way that we expected it. I told you guys it was for a minimum of 30% cash trade. I probably would prefer it if it was at 30% right now, and I know you guys in the north are thinking, well, that's crazy, that's crazy. We're already at 30% in Nebraska and 50% in Iowa, and I realize that, and that is why it's being introduced at 50%. Now, you know, when we started talking to the people there in the sponsors' offices there, we let them know that we were open to negotiation down to 30, but the guys in the Midwest are doing all the heavy lifting, and you guys in the Southern Plains, and I'm a Southern Plains guy. We've been involved with this from the get-go, this push on it, and I was trying to explain to everybody, you know, that we're not giving everybody room at 50. We're giving everybody room at 30. And I was trying to stand up for you guys in the Southern Plains, but nobody wanted to step up to the plate. We just had a few guys from Kansas, feeders, that got in there on the call, and frankly, they were probably pushing for 50 just as much as 30. But you guys that wanted the status quo, didn't want to do anything, and you guys that thought maybe you could live with 30, nobody would step up to the plate and help. So the guys in the Midwest, they took off with it, guys, and now we're at 50-14. So if you guys, and this deal is probably going to pass. I'll tell you what, look at the sponsors it already has. And then once they pull a lot of weight with the Senate Ag Committee, and we don't even have to get this deal voted on and passed, we're just going to get enough support on it and get a lot of people in favor of it that whenever we get reauthorization of mandatory price reporting in September, we're just going to graft it right on there and roll with it. So you guys that you know, could have lived with 30 but don't think you can possibly live with 50, what I suggest you do is you go to NCBA, you go to Texas Cattle Feeders Association, you go to Kansas Livestock Association, somebody like that, and have them come in and say, we'll lend our support to this too if you'll negotiate down to 30. That's kind of what I was thinking, but I'm all for the 50. This deal is not necessarily for the cattle feeder, it's for the producers. Because if we continue going like we're going without any negotiated cash trade and such a flimsy little bit of it anyway, that's not holding any kind of a market position on these fat cattle, well, then you're going to get to the point where guys can't afford to raise calves and yearlings for you guys to feed and hedge and just trade on the basis. So this whole deal has been for the cattle producer, not necessarily for the feeder. And I feel like now you guys probably feel like you're getting run over, but I don't know where your fight's going to come from on this deal. I don't believe your corporate packing plants are going to be in a position to have a lot of pull. I tell you what, they've been price gouging through this COVID-19 deal so bad that they're probably just going to lay down and let them do whatever they want to do to them, because this deal is really, really a joke. I tell you what, if you guys want to hear a good talk on there, probably better than mine, listen to Steve Stratford with Pratt Livestock, and you can find his videos on YouTube and on Facebook. And I tell you what, he does a really good job of kind of putting this thing and comparing it out where people can kind of understand it. The analogies go really well, and you know, he's got time to really go on there and tell you guys whether this deal is working. But I tell you what, this is what we've been working for, is to get some kind of a mandated negotiated cash trade minimum, and here it is. But well, we're going to see what happens here going forward for you people, you producers, you backgrounders, you grazers, that know and understand how this could save the industry to get a stronger cash trade out there. You need to call your senators in particular. You need to call all your leadership, but your senators in particular, your U.S. senators, and let them know that you support this. Make them understand. Talk to their people and get behind this deal. But you know, some of your state affiliates of NCBA, but they've got their own policy in the Midwest. They're the ones that really had the political connections to get this done, along with the U.S. Cattlemen's Association. But they've got policy for 50. That's what they're going to push for, guys. And the guys in the Southern Plains just sitting back thinking that this ain't ever going to happen, and they just want to keep going with the status quo. Well, if you guys want to get involved here and you want room to live on there, like I said, you need to get a hold of your representation. And they're just sitting back not doing anything, sending letters here and doing this and that there. But you know, they need to step up to the plate. If all these associations would get together and push for it, I tell you what, it'd just be a no-brainer. It'd be a done deal. But you need to try to get something done on this, because we've got a lot of support, and a lot of these state affiliates are getting some of the other state affiliates that don't feed a lot of cattle, but they got a Cattlemen's Association, and then pretty soon it's going to be unstoppable. And I'm tickled to death that it's getting pushed through here. But like I said, I would probably, being a Southern Plains guy, I would probably feel more comfortable at 30 than I would at 50 for getting it passed. And when it does get passed, you wouldn't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel as far as marketing fed cattle like you will at the 50. But at the 50, you're going to have to reinvent the wheel as far as marketing fed cattle. But let's look at the board for Tuesday. June live cattle futures up $4.50 at 97.17. August up $4.50. That's the limit, guys. The extended limit for live cattle, 101.70 for your August live cattle. You go on out from there and you get way on out front. It was down a quarter, but closer by it was up $2.90. But a big gainer day on the board, both live and feeder cattle. May feeder cattle up 365 at 127.30. August up 307 at 135.75. Up 222. Well, you go on to the out fronts and they were up 222 to 305 there. But big gains on your feeder cattle. Fats, we had trade again on a Tuesday. We actually had trade on a Monday, late on Monday. I ask you guys, I tell you guys every week, why do packers come out on a Monday to buy cattle? Because they need them. They don't necessarily want to tip their hand, but I tell you what, these investigations that are going on are pushing these guys to come forth with a bid and to buy some cattle and to kind of keep this thing as honest as it is. But you know, according to what your box beef cutout values are, fat cattle should be bringing about $3 a pound on the hoof. And you think, well, the highest they've ever been in the history of the world was 172. I realize that, but that was before this shameless gouging that these packers decided to do during a crisis situation. So according to that, the equivalent of your live steer on hoof, according to your choice cuts, is about $3 a pound live. and they're being very, very gracious and giving $1.15. Isn't that something? But there were bids out there. There were some trades late on Monday. Didn't get turned in till Tuesday here, but confirmed sales here on Tuesday. Iowa about 1,500 head at 185. That's $2 better dressed than the best, or actually $3 better than we had the best all of last week. Nebraska about 1,100 head, 105 to 110 live, and that's a lot better than their live bid because they didn't sell too many cattle live, and I think 95 was about the best they had in Nebraska last week on a live basis, but they sold some that way on Tuesday from 105 to 110 and 185 dressed. Kansas 2,400 head at $1.10. That would be steady, but there was some trade late on Monday and through the day on Tuesday. Why it didn't get reported, I don't know, but everybody knew about it, from 115 to 117. So we'll probably see that show up here in the next couple of days. But you know, these inflated prices on box beef cutouts are finally hitting home, guys. I can't tell you how many pictures I've seen and guys sending me texts and messages showing me ground beef in the store, in the retail shelf at near $10 a pound. And you guys remember when you were buying it for $1 something, or usually about $2 a pound. Now it's $10 a pound, and people just aren't going to be able to afford to eat it. It's unbelievable. You know, it's now becoming apparent that Wendy's wasn't so much having a problem getting fresh, never frozen ground beef to make their hamburgers with. They just were getting gouged so bad they refused to pay it. You know, why would they want to make a hamburger or a cheeseburger and sell it below cost? You know, they can't do that. Even here in West Texas, you know, my friend Lonnie Hoosman, he was in Lubbock and went pulled into a Sonic drive-in, and I'd heard this story from a couple of other people too, and you could not buy a double meat burger at the Sonic drive-in fast food restaurants. They got a sign there. You know, he likes the supersonic cheeseburger. That's what I like too, the double meat burger there. No, he could buy as many of the single patty burgers as he wanted, but not a double patty burger, including the juniors. And you know, and they, you know, the lady told him, which I'm sure she didn't realize what was going on. You know, she'd be happy to sell you 2 cheeseburgers, and you can pull the patty out of one of them and throw it on the other one. But you know, you can't blame them. They've got these beef prices up here so high, they'd have to sell the burgers below cost to make it work. And I tell you what, when we come back from this COVID-19, you think there's going to be some blowback from these food service places and things like that? Whenever you get there and you're out back and all your major steakhouses have to reprint their menus because the steaks, they're going to have to charge twice as much to even come out, the way that they're gouging them on this beef. It's just unrighteous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Went up again. Choice was actually down $2 on Tuesday afternoon's trades, but Select was down $2. Choice up nearly $7 again. We used to never see volatility like this in your box beef cutout values. $1 or $2 or maybe $3 was the most you would see, one way or the other. We've just seen them going up $20, $30, you know, day after day after day for weeks. Now we've got your choice cuts all the way up to $475.39. $475.39, a hundredweight for choice cutouts. That's up $6.81 compared to Monday's close. The Select, like I said, was down $2 at $450.97. Choice Select spread of $24.42, and pretty good movement again on Tuesday of 132 loads for a one-day sale there, and that's about what they had on Monday. And it's unbelievable that can move that much product at these sticker shock prices, and it's shameful that you know, your cattle people are loosely involved with an industry that's gouging people that bad. Now we've said it here the last several weeks that we realize as cattle people that we're not in the beef business. They're not our partners on up the line. No, absolutely not. There's 2 separate entities: cattle business, beef business. yet our biggest association is trying to represent both. And I think it's kind of a conflict of interest, frankly. But let's look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV Auction. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 125.73, up $1.19. Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri had a big sale, 3,600 head there. Your steer calves were $3 to $6 higher. Your feeder steers $4 to $8 higher. Heifer calves steady to $4 higher. Not a good test on the feeder heifers, but really snappy sale in West Plains, Missouri there, and that's a good test of the market right there. And they're getting a lot of Arkansas cattle in there. That's extreme south central Missouri there. I want to make a note that here on Wednesday they've got a dairy dispersal of Holsteins here, and these are milking Holstein cows that they're going to be bringing through the sale there. And then next Wednesday they've got a big Jersey dispersal. And you guys that are far away but are interested in that, you can get on and watch that, view and bid, or you better call them up first if you want to bid on those, because they go pretty dang fast there. They do not screw around. Tell them you're interested if you want to bid on those online, but go to dvauction.com. You can watch their sales every Tuesday and Wednesday at Ozarks Regional Stockyard. But if you're interested in that, be sure and call ahead and get registered. Tell them who you are and tell them you'll be bidding on those dairy cattle if you're interested in them. How about Denny Rezac Livestock Commission, St. Mary's, Kansas? Not a huge run, but a very good test of load lots of yearling feeder cattle, 1,300 head there. I looked at the test. They don't have a federal state market reporter. Why, I don't know. I guess it's they just get tired of paying for that kind of stuff. I know they can't report all the markets, but man, some of these good markets just go unreported. But we've got them on an automated report here. I checked the trend on those big well-tested weights of feeders, and they were $5 to $9 higher. How about, look at all these strings of steers right here, all load lots and bigger. Notice 62 head there weighed 828 pounds at 135. Another 60 head weighed 918 at 122. Another top quote out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota, 70 head, 652 pound steers bring 152.75. It's amazing what competition will do even in tough times, guys. But the top quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday were my friends the Ansteins there in Kingsville, Missouri. Kingsville Livestock Auction, 120 head, 818 pound steers bring 138.85. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.